Welcome back to Hour 2 of What's on Your Mind. I'm your host, Russ Rhodes. In the studio with me is South Union Township Supervisor Bob Schiffbauer. Bob, thanks for joining us today, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here with you, Mr. Rhodes, on a somewhat gloomy spring day, but
Wow.
It's a pleasure to be here with you and have an opportunity to chat.
Yeah, I'm just stunned right now by the formal address here of Mr. Rhodes. I don't get that at all.
I've been trained now. I know no other way.
Okay. Fair enough. So what brings you in today? I know you're running for re-election as supervisor, right?
Yeah, I'm running for re-election. It'd be my seventh term as a supervisor, but I'm also here today to convey some information on what's going on in the township, what has been going on in the past, going on now, and what will hopefully take place in the future.
All righty. Well, I know probably what's hit the news most frequently is the new indoor sports complex.
Oh yeah,
that's you're working on.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to address first. Saturday we had our first golf outing, charitable golf outing for the indoor sports complex. It's located on Pennsylvania Avenue, and it's a building that South Union Township, had purchased off of Mr. Kluss, and we're converting that into an indoor sports complex. Mm-hmm. We're going to have artificial turf, concession stand, the weight room, fitness room, wellness room, and a lot of other things to come. But it's still in a process of being determined exactly what we're going to be doing there. The thing of it is right now we're trying to gain enough way of funding to get the thing started. Okay. And hopefully sometime in the latter part of this year, that's exactly what we'll be doing. We earlier last year received a $200,000 matching grant from DCNR, and we have that as a big force to get us started here. And one nice thing. Now, getting back to the grant, though, it is a matching grant. So the $200,000 we're getting from the state, we have to match that in some form or another, either in a dollar amount coming from the township coffers, or one way we have done it in the past is through in-kind services. And we applied that concept extensively when we built our sheepskin trail. Okay. And we have some really good qualified staff and personnel who brings with them a number of very usable skills that could be of great help in constructing our indoor complex. So, and naturally using equipment, men an hour, we get to use that right now as part of our match instead of a dollar amount. So what it's going to do is going to make our dollars, we're going to stretch it longer and further, and we're going to save the township money.
Well, and I was going to say it takes a little forethought, a little creativity, because it'd be so easy to create a new line item in your budget. Yeah. To come up with that matching money, but through a little work and creativity, with matching, in-kind contributions and whatnot, you're able to, as you say, stretch those tax dollars out, not use tax dollars, so to speak, for this.
Yeah, and allow us to do more. Yeah. But the great thing, what took place Saturday with our golf outing. This was our first golf outing, and actually the idea was born at a very late date. Normally, when you do an outing such as this, you start maybe as far out as a year. Well, we only got started about 4 or 5 months ago. Okay. And I know I was in charge of it, and one thing became very clear right off the bat. To do something like this and do it right entails awful lot of work. Yeah. But fortunately, we have some good staff people. Taylor Large, a young lady who has spent a lot of time with me on our staff. She was great help as well as the other girls, Courtney and Maxine. They've done a great job. But the thing that took place Saturday, through our gaining sponsorships and contributions, we were able to take in $75,000, which for a sporting event of this nature, a golf outing, especially the first go around, was just unbelievably successful.
Yeah. You got well over a third of your matching funds that you need.
Yeah. And what's nice about this, there's no reason we can't do this on a yearly basis.
Right.
And looking at next year, I think with more time to get ready, and we set our standards and our goals pretty high in South Union. We're maybe looking at setting a goal for next year, $100,000, which would be just fantastic and unbelievable.
Sure. Now I'm curious on a matching grant situation such as this. Does the DCNR wait until you have the matching funds in hands, or are you allowed to match over time?
Well, DCR asks you the questions, do you have the money for a match?
Okay.
And in our case, like we did that with the sheepskin money, we said, yeah, and we do have the money. And I think most municipalities do, and it might be a matter of realigning your budget at times to gather the money. One thing about the matching grant, as we did with sheepskin money, it's not that you have to have all the money up front. You can pay as you go, and the actual period from when the contract begins, it comes into effect, and till its end, there is plenty of time. They usually give you 2, 3, 4 years. So we will have no problems with the money whatsoever. But I did like to I do certainly like to thank that the owners of the Uniontown Country Club, Del Malinzak and Paul Gabriel, we initially sit down with them and explain what we wanted to do, and they were very helpful. They accommodated us in every way they possibly can, and their staff, Rico Coble, he's the manager over there, and Pete is the pro. They were tremendous help. Like I said, and not doing this before, we needed all the help we could get. Unfortunately, we had people who were very willing to help us, and that's what led to this. We fed them after the golf event. We had a nice steak dinner. Steak tasted great, and other than that, just a little bit of cold weather, everything just went fantastic.
Wonderful. Just one other question that I have on the indoor sports complex. You already have one across from the township buildings. Is this an extension? Is there something going to be different about it that's not offered?
Well, we were trying to, we only have one building, and we're trying to do different activities, and that building is not set up, or very few buildings are set up to do a multitude of activities.
Okay.
Basically, when we built that back in 1980, which has been a great building. It's wear and tear. If you look at it, you would not think it's over 47 years old, and it's still very functional. But that recreation center was basically set up for basketball. Although we did pay soccer, we set the soccer boards up, a very fast-paced soccer game, very enjoyable by the players and the fans. And that was what we did. Then especially soccer came, and then we put down a artificial mat. Well, when you put the artificial surface down, then that pretty much eliminates basketball.
Yeah.
So what will be nice here, the new facility will accommodate soccer. And the old facility, we will be able to use that on a yearly basis for the purpose of basketball with the hard floor. So we've pretty much grown out of the old building. Now we're looking for a building that's going to allow us to do some of the things that we could either not otherwise do at the old place or had a hard time doing.
Okay. Super. Alrighty. So I know Township Supervisor. Let's kind of go back to the beginning if you can, and just exactly what is what are the duties of a township supervisor? I mean, you're not a mayor, you're not council, it's township supervisor.
Well, actually, it's not that different from being a mayor or a councilman.
Okay.
It's just that it's a little different setup, but we're basically doing the same things. And now we're doing it with the Board of Supervisors, and the city does it with the mayor and council.
Okay.
But the one, I think, positive thing in our township, and I'm not knocking the form of government with city or borough, traditionally in second-class townships, as we are here in Pennsylvania, the roadmasters act as the employees, like the foreman. We are here, the three of us, as in most second-class townships, they're on duty during the course of the day. Somebody comes in with a problem, there's one or two or all three supervisors there. We can make quick decisions since the decision makers are there, the supervisors. Whereas the city's a little bit limited. Most of the council members have other jobs, or the mayor. They meet once a month. And I think that's what separates these two governing bodies. I mean, they do the same thing, but in a bit different way.
Okay. All right. So, as township supervisor, what is it what's your role? What do you want to do? What, as far as economic development? That's always a big word.
Yeah. I'm glad you bring it up. I know when I first became a supervisor, I was able to go out in the field, cut grass, go work with the crew, fill the potholes and stuff like that. But as time went on, I can assure you that the job evolved the township supervisors far greater from that, more demanding, and there was less time spent outside and more time behind the desk in order to do the job and and it had to be done right. And to get into specialized things like you'd mentioned, economic development, that takes time. You have to build up a knowledge base of how economic development works, especially from the standpoint of being a township supervisor. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I know it took a long time. It took me some time to sit down and just come to the point and say, well, what can I do? Or what can other supervisors do to best help their township? Now, I don't think I was going to best help my township by going out and cutting grass.
Okay.
Or getting behind a truck and taking a load of gravel somewhere. It was more cerebral in regards to how effective you can be. Economic development is a driving force in a municipality that determines what you can and can't do. It sets your assessed valuation. And if your assessed valuation is not growing, that means you are not having money to come into your municipality to run your township and pay for the things that you need as far as building and growing your township. One thing became clear. It was very complicated, the system. And as far as economic development, the thing that was pinpointed where the supervisors could help is to help bring in highways and transportation where future developers could come in. Future developers not going to come in and see your highway, your transportation system cannot bring in or take out their customers. So that's why we felt, or I know I felt, getting into this and getting an understanding of economic and what it takes. Another point was quite clear that you had to establish certain relationships with the right people who played a certain role in the economic process. Now, there's a pot of money out there for highways. Now, that pot of money, you just don't stick your hand in and pull out what you are competing.
Okay.
Okay, you are competing with PennDOT. You are competing with other municipalities. So that's why you have to have a good understanding what it takes to compete in this area of gaining funds to build your highways. you're not guaranteed any money.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I know I got into this process, the more I realized there was a heck of a lot here to try to gain an understanding that took a long time. So we started to look for people who might be out there, might be available,
Mm-hmm.
that had training or a background in economic development and highways. And we were fortunate enough to attract a retired employee from PennDOT of 38 years
Okay.
who actually worked in this area. It's called the TIP, Transportation Improvement Project or Improvement Plan. He used to work in that specific field.
So he's able to tell you this is what they're looking for on the applications.
Right. Well, when I found out that he might be available, I made a call and introduced myself, and I told him his name's Bill Piper. I said, Bill, you're coming to work for South Union Township. He didn't know me from hide or hair. So, but after he realized and he could understand where I was coming, I was talking his language, Bill was very gracious to accept our invitation. And he went to work for South Union Township. And I cannot tell you how his involvement with his understanding of this system allowed us to move through this maze, which would just confuse anybody else.
So what are some of the projects that he's been able to help you and the other supervisors bring to fruition?
Well, I'll give you the very first project that he got involved it's called the Matthew Drive upgrade. That's from Route 21 to New Salem Road.
Okay.
And if you remember, Matthew Drive was originally a 2-lane highway. Now, as that area started to develop, it jumped across New Salem Road into the business park. There was no doubt that we needed to widen Matthew Drive at that point. And Bill came on board. What he did, he kind of figured out that the developer Widewaters out of New York should, in all fairness, kick in at least $1.6 million for the upgrade of the highway.
Okay.
Also, we had some right-of-way to acquire, and by acquiring that right-of-way, we were given like an in-kind allotment to make our match. You have to keep in mind one thing. When you are using federal funds on a local highway, you have to pay 20% of the cost of that road.
Okay.
And you are limited to what kind of money. You can't use other federal money to match federal money. So we used the money from the developer, the $1.6 million from Widewater, and the allotment, the in-kind allotment we got from the right-of-way acquisition. That made our share of that match money that allowed to move this project to go forward. Now, the biggest payoff was Matthew Drive Extension from New Salem Road down to 40.
Okay.
There we had to come up with 20% of $12 million. You're talking $2.4 million.
Yeah.
And for a local municipality, that's a lot of money. We didn't have it. I can honestly tell you that. But we were lucky in a way, though. It has some association with the expressway from Brownsville to Uniontown.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we thought it was a no-brainer to take the southern route because the southern route brought you closer to where the economic development was. Well, in essence, the northern route actually steered it away to the Fan Hollow exit. And we gave testimony, but we were told that they were still going to select the northern route over southern route. So what I did, I went around searching for people who had knowledge of particular situations like this with transportation and economic development. And I was able to find Dr. David Martinelli. He was the head of the West Virginia University engineering department at the time.
Okay.
He's still there, but he just no longer holds that position. Great guy. He's from Fox Chapel, or excuse me, Mount Lebanon. And I contacted him, and matter of fact, I was talking to somebody at the University of Kentucky, and they said, well, do you know Mr. Martinelli in West Virginia? You're very far. I said, just right down the road. He said, he's one of the most experts in this field of economic development and transportation. So I called David, and David does not offer consulting services to anybody. But what he did come down and meet with us. Mm-hmm. He said, since you're a small municipality, you don't have the resources of a big consulting firm. He said, I will give you a summary. So he came up with a summary that basically said, taking the northern route does exactly nothing for the economic development of Fayette County. He said, you're actually steering away potential customers to the northern route, away from where the agglomeration, where the businesses are. And businesses like to go where businesses are right now, new ones. Yeah. And so that was his position. Okay. And he said, and not only that, he said, if you would increase the cars coming from Fan Hollow to the Uniontown Mall area, they'd have to come down to Fan Hollow to 40 and up to Duck Hollow. They had only planned, the Turnpike Commission, to build just a stop sign intersection, what was already there. 2 lanes from Fan Hollow, mm-hmm. stop sign intersection of 40 onto Duck Hollow Road. He said, you are creating a very unsafe situation, because if those people were getting off on the northern route, the Fan Hollow, to come down to Route 40, you would be setting yourself out with some possible terrible accidents. So the Turnpike Commission took this information. About a week or two later, I was asked to attend a meeting at Senator Kucinich's office with PennDOT. And I walked in, they had all these charts on the wall, and they said they had second thoughts, and because of what Dr. Martinelli mm-hmm. had brought up. So what they said, well, it's too late to change the south for the north to the south route. But what we will do, we will build 3 lanes of traffic from Fan Hollow to 40. That's Northgate Road right now. And at 40, we will build a full-blown intersection with turning lanes and traffic lights. Okay. And this is where the great part for South Union is. We will give South Union Township $3.2 million of turnpike money to help build the road into the Matthew Drive extension. Wow. Well, what was nice about that, we took that $3.2 million and we applied that to our 20% mm-hmm. of building Matthew Drive extension. Matter of fact, the existing district engineer kind of laughed at Mr. Piper when he proposed that. And he said, Bill, you know you can't use federal highway money to match federal highway. And Bill come right back at him with his knowledge of this job and said, Mr. DeFala, I want to tell you, don't you know where the money from the turnpike comes? It comes from bonds, not taxes. Uh-huh. So it went back to Harrisburg, come back, and they said, yes, you're allowed to use that 3.2 as your matching money. Okay. So Matthew Drive did not cost South Union Township one penny. 1 penny. And that was because of having the right person in charge in directing our efforts with the road and the economic development.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt, experience does help. And because with experience, you lessen the you don't know what you don't know aspect of any job. Because of that experience, you're gaining that knowledge. You know what to ask, what questions to ask, where you need to go to get answers for those questions that ultimately help you do your job and then helps the township.
Yeah, you see, I would tell you, PennDOT is no friend of local municipality when we're competing for the same pot of money. Mm-hmm. They want that money too. Sure. And believe me, it's nothing for them to throw a roadblock in to discourage a local municipality from going after this type money. But when we had Mr. Piper working for us, there was no BS in him. It's amazing the attitude that was changed from PennDOT before we had Bill until Bill come on board. And when Bill come on board, it was all business, believe me. It was all business. And he certainly paid off, and we would not be where we're at right now. And I tell you, that time of the year, if you remember, when Fayette Crossing was built, it was right before the bottom of the market dropped out. And if that would not have been built, the Fayette Crossing, prior to the economy falling apart, I don't know if we would ever have a Fayette Crossing after that economic downturn. But it's there. It paid off, and we're just very fortunate to have found Mr. Piper. He was a great help. Also, we established a great relationship with Congressman Murtha. Congressman Murtha brought some money in, say for instance, up there on 40 into New Salem, where they upgraded that turning lane there, where Denny's used to be. Yeah. The congressman, through our relationship with him, he was able to bring some earmark money that got that project going, and also he did have some say-so in the Matthew Drive Extension Program too. He got some earmark money for that to get it going. And the one big project that really the congressman helped with was the upgrading of Route 21 from Dixon Boulevard to the back of the mall. That intersection there, McClellan Town Road, was really not the best engineered intersection in the world. And we were able, with his help, to get this project moving. I know it was put on hold, but we finally pulled it through. Okay. And you're talking about another $14-18 million project. Although we didn't have to come up with the 20% because that was a federal road, but Matthew Drive was, and it worked out pretty well for us. And we were also helping by upgrading Route 21. That was right about at the time when you saw Walmart close down, Cherry Tree Square, right, and Kmart too. We thought that would really be a great stimulus to rejuvenate that shopping area. Now, we have seen some positive development take place. Jason Foster bought the old Kmart building, and he's done a lot of magnificent work there, and he's brought a couple stores in, and I'm sure we'll be hearing some new stores brought in as well. Now, on the other side of the road where Cherry Tree Square was, we have a couple places there, but hopefully we're going to see much bigger and better things there as time goes on.
Has the problem that caused those closings originally up there, has that all been taken care of?
You're talking about the Pyrex?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well, supposedly this time it was. It was removed, unlike the first time it was supposed to be removed, and it was not. And but no, the project, the site there does look kind of mixed up with all the dirt and stuff like that. But if they did find a developer, that could be rectified and leveled. And I know there is one group that's looking. If you remember where the old Walmart garden center was, that's when you come off of Matthew Drive extension onto the right there. There is another medical firm looking there to build, I think, a 23,000 square foot, two-story medical complex. Okay. And also, from what I understand, there's another grocery store looking in that area. Now, we've also had some development on the North Union side with the Starbucks, and that's about to open there. So, that further, I think, proves this agglomeration or attracting effect of where these businesses like to locate, where there already is economic development. There's still room out there, and we just want to try to maximize it.
Sure. You were off the. Well, this goes to your relationships that you talked about. And off the air, you were telling me one of these stories about relationship, and it was having to do with Matthew Drive Extension, with wetlands.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's go into that a little bit if we can.
Yeah, that wetland issue, DEP came in after we found out that we could use the money from the Turnpike Commission to build our 20%, a lot of our 20% for the building Matthew Drive. Here, DEP comes in and it says, well, you have a strip of wetland right next to Matthew Drive Extension behind the Walmart that we have to protect. DEP has to protect. They called it a substantial wetlands. Mm-hmm. Well, I know Terry McMillan's in engineering, the developer, Cedarwood from Ohio, and Andrew French was involved in the township. We attended a meeting, and the developer hired a biologist, an expert, and he started to speak and identify his credentials. And the lady there at the Pittsburgh office down to DEP where we met, she says, I don't care what your credentials are. We here at the DEP office in Pittsburgh has considered this to be a substantial piece of wetland. We're not going to mitigate it. You're either going to build a wall or road around the area that we're talking about, which would have killed the project. But
what's mitigation in this case?
You just work it out. You talk it out. You mitigate. You find a place to, in essence, move this wetland.
Okay.
Even though you're going to destroy that wetland, you will find another location, and mitigating this by finding another location to expand or create a new wetland.
Okay.
So therefore, overall, you might be losing one wetland, but the new one or the old one you're expanding, you are creating, or you still have wetlands. You're not losing it in an overall sense. But this is where the governor stepped in and directed her, hey, you mediate this.
Okay.
And it worked out great because Menards is going to fill in that area. It's partially filled in right now where that wetland was. But Menards will be, once they start, they're going to be filling in that whole hillside all the way up to Matthew Drive.
Okay, we're talking with Bob Schiffbauer, South Union Township Supervisor here. You brought up Menards. So where do we stand on Menards? I mean, we've heard a couple things that one in particular. They opened up down in Morgantown just a few months ago. And yet they started their project down there at the same time that it was announced it was going to go on up here. And so here you got Morgantown, they got theirs, but we're still looking for ours.
Well, I think they actually started a little sooner than South Union.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, they are open. Now, Menards was very concerned with two things. One of them was the election, and the other was with the COVID, the virus. Mm-hmm. That slowed down this whole process. But from our indication, or from the indication from Menards, that they are looking to get started to move dirt the latter part of this year or early next year, provided DEP does not raise their ugly head again and pose any more problems. Mm-hmm. And the one thing, since I've been a supervisor, it is pathetic, the attitude sometimes that DEP takes when their actions has a negative impact on developing economic structures, economic growth. I just cannot see. I just cannot see how the concept is where they stand from, where they come up with their ideas. It would not bother them to create a situation where they prevent thousands of jobs and millions of dollars of investment over some silly little issue that deals with their rules and regulations. Sometimes I think that they should not even play the role or the degree of role they do. Mm-hmm. That's what I told them when we met down in Pittsburgh with Widewaters. I said, you people should be kept at a minimum. Yes, we listen to you, but don't allow you to make the decision. I know there's some problems right now with DEP that they're asking menards to do that just does not seem to be practical in what they're doing. But I'm pretty sure from what I've been told that the engineers are going to work it out, and the project will move forward. But the thing about menards, though, not only are they a large box, they are a destination store. Say like an Olive Garden or some other big department store. And with the retail industry, the way it's been hit over the years, with the loss of sales and with the COVID, but to have a large operation like Menards come in and picks Uniontown as the first Menards store in Pennsylvania. There's over 350 stores in the Midwest that Menards operates. They're a first-class operation. And the thing here they're doing here, as they've done in many Menards operations, they have purchased additional property that they intend to develop as outparcels. So there's at least 5 to 6 pieces of outparcel properties that they will be developing in the future or as they go along in developing their main store. So there's going to be additional development, additional income to the area as time goes on. It's just not like they're going to build Menards and that's where it ends. It's going to continue.
Okay. So, Bob, we're starting to run out of time here. So we've talked about a lot of things that you've accomplished in your previous terms as Township Supervisor. If you get elected for another term, what are you looking to accomplish or hope to accomplish in your next term?
Well, we'll continue to work on the economic development side of it. We've always recognized the importance of it. We're going to continue to work with Menards and see their store built as well as their outparcels. We're hoping to see more action from a development standpoint at the old Cherry Tree Square. And there are some potential sites that might be developed that aren't just ready to be announced. But you can rest assured one thing, that the supervisors in South Union understands the importance of having a program put together that will stimulate and encourage economic development. I mean, we could sit on our hands like others do and just be satisfied with the status quo, but we're always trying to look to increase the value, increase the worth of the township. You could see that in the charts over the years, how South Union grows, especially since the sewage was put in years ago. We were like 4th or 5th on the list as far as total assessment was. Now we're way on number 1. And I think we have close to $700 million in assessed valuation. And that's grown almost tenfold over the years. But we just keep our eyes open anywhere where we can help economic development, and I think that is the most important thing that supervisors can do, especially that has a municipality in the area that we do.
All right. Okay. Sounds you do have a vision for the future still, and that's as far as I'm concerned, one thing that all politicians need, and leaders, they need to have that vision, and you can't sit around on your laurels like you said so many others do.
No, we're always looking the direction to make the township better, and if we continue that, I think that it says that we're doing our job. And also, what's even better, it means that the township is growing and prospering.
I'm going to change topics here just briefly here. Sheepskin Trail. I know that's been a big success. A lot of people talk about it all the time and how wonderful it is. Is there plans? Is there an extension in the works for the Sheepskin Trail? Or will it join up with another trail?
Well, there always has. You see, this concept of sheepskin trail started back in the late 90s, 97, 98, when the state and the county come around and they determined a path, and they met with all the municipalities starting from Dunbar down to Point Marion.
Okay.
I like the idea. I did not realize the significance that the trails can have until just recently. But at that point, though, in the early 90s, we were still trying to catch up because South Union, when I became a supervisor, not only did we not have a recreation program, we had no facilities to have a recreation program. We had nothing. And that's, I know I set a goal, as well as the other supervisors set a goal, where we're going to grow our recreation facilities and eventually develop a program. And so we went about building the ball fields, the soccer fields, pavilions, and things like that. So in the interim, we finally realized that, well, now we're ready to expand, as we are here with the indoor complex, but to expand it and take on different projects. I received a letter from Dr. Marshall, who teaches dentistry in Morgantown. He lives in South Union, and he complimented us on our program. This was about 5 years ago. He complimented us on the recreation program. He said, but would you think about doing something that would provide people who ride bicycles? Because, a trail of only a couple of miles long really is not much of a challenge for bicycle riders.
Sure.
But anyways, I said, well, you know what? We'll start with our trail here in South Union Township. That's where the whole South Union Township sheepskin trail, because back in 2006, Dunbar was the only municipality that built their section of sheepskin trail, and that was from Connellsville. And the sheepskin trail runs from Connellsville, Dunbar Borough, North Union, the city of Uniontown, South Union, Georges, Fairchance, back to Georges, Smithfield, and then to Springfield and Point Marion. But they were the only ones actually built from the Great Allegheny Passage down to Dunbar Borough. Well, we finally made ours, and because of the tremendous response of the public, shows that need for a trail had been there for many years. And we were glad to be one of the first to be able to complete a trail and really show just what the trail means to the people. And when people come up and thank us, it's a heartfelt thank you. And it's good for people's health, and it just does great things for the community.
Bob, we got 15 seconds. Anything real quick you want to say?
Well, we just want to continue to improve our township, whether it be with the indoor sports complex or whether it be with the sheepskin trail. We're just looking to make things better and life more livable in South Union.
Okay. Bob, thank you very much. We've been talking with Bob Schiffbauer, South Union Township Supervisor. We're going to join CBS News already in progress. This is WMBS Uniontown.